Can I do the intro?
Sure. How about it?
What's going on, guys? It's your host, Nick Einsman of Cryptid Cocktail. It's a show where we have a few drinks, have a few laughs, and talk about the spooky and the unknown, aka cryptids. Joined today by the guy who's always on the show, David Prescott. David, how are you?
That was a horrible introduction. Can I give it a go real quick?
Oh, by all means, hit it up.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave, and today I'm joined by Nick. What's up, man? I'm already exacerbated. This is a lot.
Well, I lost the mustache to the great wars of depression, and here we are, mustacheless.
Oh, that's our fucking Vietnam right there. Just everyone in this that's our generation. That's our generation.
It's just like that one song by Basement. No, it's like with you. You know what it is? That meme song that's going on right now.
It's one of those Midwestern emo bands that's just a one-word name of a object.
Oh yeah, and the intro is like something from like Freaks and Geeks or that 70s show where it's like a super deep, super dramatic like line, and then it goes into like a very melodic breakdown.
Yeah, that's
Panucci's Pizza at its finest,
Oh, Panucci's Pizza is so good. But yeah, how you doing, bud? You doing all right? I know you got no mustache now due to the
I got no mustache due to the war of depression of 2024.
Yeah.
Things are good, man. Listen, I got no complaints. Just living, grooving, living moss.
All right. I'm gonna be so exhausted by the end of this episode. I could already tell. You're on one today, Nick. I could already tell. This is gonna be a good episode. All right, Nick. Well, I'm glad you're in a good mood. Kinda, I guess, considering you're in the throes of depression. Aren't we all, though?
I'm doing. You know what? All things considered, I'm in a very good mood. Thank you for having me on, Dave. I do appreciate it.
Well, and I know. Well, I wanted you on because this episode is technically for you, and honestly, if I'm being honest, it was your idea. Oh, what do you think it is? I want to know what you think it is.
Well, you told me that it was like something about UFOs.
Yes.
And being that we're both from New England.
Yeah.
Are we touching Betty and Barney Hill?
No, you were so far off.
Fuck.
All right, Nick, do you remember the Falkville Metal Man episode we did, which is, by the way, over a year old at this point, which is fucking wild?
I do indeed remember Falkville Metal Man. Tinfoil Man lives.
Well, in that episode, I offhandedly mentioned another incident that led you to say probably one of the funniest things that I've ever heard said on this show. And here, I'll play the clip to see if you can, if it jogs any memories. You ready?
Oh, was born ready.
So there's definitely, at some point, all these connections of like, oh, well, this guy saw a metal man. Well, like these two, a groomer and his groomie also saw this metal man about 6 days before. We should probably link these three up, but probably keep the 46-year-old away from the 26-year-old
and the 17-year-old. But those two were actually abducted, and they said that they were.
I want to hear their story.
Well, I don't know it.
Is there anything?
Maybe. Oh no, there is. I just didn't write an episode for it. Well, Nick, today I did write that episode, and today we are going to be discussing the Pascagoula abduction incident.
Let's go. Oh my God, I was so far off.
I do got some corrections up top, though. It wasn't a groomer and a groomie. He was 19 years old, and they worked together. But we'll get into all that. I just wanted to say that so we don't get sued by whoever might listen to it. But yeah, so this is for you. You wanted this episode over a year ago, and I'm only now coming coming true on that promise. Are you ready to dive in?
I'm super ready to dive in on this one.
All right. So, located in Jackson County, Mississippi, Pascagoula, which I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce it. I had Google pronounce it for me, and even then, I don't know if the robot got it right. But Pascagoula is located right where the Pascagoula River drains out into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, while the city of Pascagoula has a decent number of residents, roughly 20,000, it's not like a huge city by any means. I mean, Dover, New Hampshire, where we're from, has about like 34,000, and I think we came from a relatively smaller town. If you know, like, does that make sense? Like, let's put it.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Let's put it this way. According to TripAdvisor, and I had to use TripAdvisor because Pascagoula isn't on triphobo.com, the #1 trusted site for all of your travel needs. But according to
officially sponsored.
But according to TripAdvisor, 2 out of the top 10 attractions in Pascagoula are a Big Lots and a Walmart, which, I mean, coming from a town that size, which also sits on a river, I get it. But something else very notable happened in Pascagoula that became kind of a big deal, and not just a UFO community, but was kind of a big deal across the country. And that is the alleged abduction of Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker that was said to have occurred in 1973. Now, are you familiar with this at all, besides the details that I gave you in the other episode, which were kind of not that true?
No, I mean, I know I looked into it a little bit like after the fact, but that was a year ago, and I could better remember what I did a week ago. So, no, not in the slightest bit.
Okay, so on October 11th, 1973, 42-year-old Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, who was 19 at the time and not 17, like I said in the Metal Man episode, decided to do a little fishing together after their shift. They were fishing for hardheads, which I learned is a type of sea catfish. So
yes,
there's your one.
Hardheads are nasty.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them.
It's a nasty fish.
I feel like all catfish are. Especially, I mean, like, maybe that's not true, but I've watched that show on the Discovery Channel where they go, was it noodling, where they fucking
they throw their fingers in there.
They just shove their whole fist in a fish's mouth. Fuck that.
Yeah. Dude. Listen, they don't fuck around down there. Fishing's a whole other game.
It's all a nightmare, though. It's just all bad. Like, it's not.
It's never fun. Like, the people that I know that go fishing regularly up here, like, they're not having fun with it. They're doing it to get away from their problems. Down south, they're fisting their problems.
It's true. I mean, I guess fishing in New England is like, it's just an excuse to get away from the family and get blackout on a boat. There's no other reason to do it besides that, I feel like. All right, Nick.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, just making sure. I thought you were dead for a second.
No, I dropped my phone on my cat.
All right, so these two, they set up shop near an old grain elevator that was located along the shore of the Pascagoula River. After casting out a few times and not getting any bites in return, Charles had suggested that they try another spot, that spot being the iron piers near the old Shopper shipyard. Once they relocated, the pair got settled in and were about to commence with fishing when something strange caught their eye. They both noticed what was described as a bluish oblong orb. Which oblong orb doesn't really make sense, but
it's not a good name.
Yeah. That seemed to be pulsating in the night sky. At first, they were just more intrigued by it. Like, look at that. That's kind of weird. Because at this point, according to Charles, it was like 2, maybe 3 miles away. Could be anything at that point, you know? I mean, a blue light in the sky 2 to 3 miles away could just be fucking anything. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, that's weird. But that feeling of intrigue quickly turned to pants-shitting fear when the object was suddenly 100 feet away from them and only a few feet above the water. Well,
yeah. Like, imagine that. You're out with your buddy, like, from work. You're work friends. You're not, like, great friends, right?
Well, I guess I found out that Calvin, the younger one, was friends with Charles's son, and Calvin and Charles just both happened to work together, so they already had kind of like a relationship.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So
you're just going out with your friend's creepy dad that you also work with. Nothing weird about that.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, so they see that thing, and then like I get like it's far away. Cool. That looks weird. And then all of a sudden it's 100 feet in front of you and it's just hovering above the water. Not ideal.
No, by any means. And that's the issue is, you never know what you're going to get on the water.
That's just a water thing. Like
It's just a sea fact. If you're on the ocean, you're on the lake, the tides could be angry that day.
Fair enough. Now, when describing the encounter to Sheriff Fred Diamond, Charles Hickson described the object as being roughly 8 feet tall, oblong in shape, and the only lights he could see coming from it was that previously mentioned blue light. And he said it was emitting some sort of like humming noise. Now, I'm going to assume like oblong, you know more about UFOs than I probably will ever know, but oblong in shape, I'm going to assume that's what people would call like a cigar-shaped UFO.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they labeled it as a blue oblong. I feel like it should be classified as a cigar-shaped UFO.
All right. Well, that those were his words. I'm sure back in whenever this happened, it wasn't like the word cigar-shaped UFO probably wasn't in the mainstream, you know what I mean? Not that it is now. Fucking only me and you and nerds know that. Now, if staring down the barrel of a fucking UFO when all you want to do is just relax, have a couple Schlitz, and fish with your young male companion wasn't fucking terrifying enough, this shit gets even...
Hello, this is Cole, my young male companion. He's friends with my son.
No, officer, it's fine. He's a friend of my son.
I assure you, he's a friend of mine. So I've known him since he was 9.
And we've gone fishing every day since then. But shit gets even wilder.
Oh, they were something.
And for what happens next, I'm just going to quote what Charles had said about what happened next because I can't describe it any more eloquently than him. He says, quote, "A door opened and this brilliant light came out of it. I couldn't figure out what in the world was happening. And all of a sudden, right in the end of it, this opening was laid up there and 3 of them just floated out of the thing. They wasn't on no ground." He then continued on saying, quote, "They were about 5 feet tall, had bullet-shaped heads without necks, slits for mouth, and where their noses and ears would be, they had thin, conical objects sticking out, like carrots from a snowman's head. They had no eyes, gray, wrinkled skin, round feet, and claw-like hands. They didn't have toes, but they had feet shape. It was more or less just a round-like thing on a leg, if you'd call it that." End quote. Well, you look bummed out. It's not an ideal description of anything.
It's like a metal man meets like Sam the Sundown Clown. Sam the Clown. And I don't like it. It also kind of reminds you of the bullet guy from Mario.
Okay.
If it had legs.
Yeah, well, yeah. The bullet's straight up though. Do you want, I can't send you a picture right now, but if you look up the Pascagoula alien, it doesn't look
I'm looking
great.
it up right now. Pascagoula Abduction. All right, let's see it. Oh God!
Yeah, it's not good.
Oh, that is fucking ugly.
It's like 3 spikes coming out of its face. Like it looks like a medieval torture device come to life. Kinda.
There's a cool like picture I see of the 2 male companions, and then there's a picture of them actually, and there's an Etsy little figure of him for $136. I might buy that. That's actually kind of cool.
Of the Pascagoula alien?
Yeah.
I said Pascagoula. I keep saying
Pascagoula. It's pretty sick. It's pretty damn cool.
You did. So the reason why we brought this up in the Metal Man episode is because this happened just days before the Metal Man incident. So there are some kind of things that coincide as far as like mannerisms and how they acted that are kind of Metal Man-ish. So like by now the 3 aliens were hovering around Charles and Calvin. These things hover apparently. They had feet, but they hover. It's weird. Charles says their upper bodies moved in what he described as a herky-jerky motion, much like how the Falkville Metal Man was described as moving. And then once surrounded, one of the creatures, quote unquote, spoke. And by spoke, it made a series of buzzing noises that Charles thought was an attempt to put the men at ease, like, we're not here to harm you. But considering what happens next, I think that he was giving orders to the other 2 aliens. So
you don't think it was like an ASMR buzz, like a buzz?
No, it was not like that. Because after this attempt at quote unquote communication, two of the beings who remained silent the whole time floated behind Charles, grabbed him with their pincer-like hands, and picked him up. Now, Charles said that they didn't use any force when they picked him up, almost as if they had some sort of like anti-gravity thing going on. I don't know, like when they picked him up, he didn't feel any like pressure when they wrapped their arm.
Yeah, he just kind of
just floated, which is fucking, not gonna lie, I want to experience
don't like it.
that. You don't want?
Nope.
Wow, we're on two different sides of the spectrum.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of like not Close Encounters of the Third Kinds, where like they just hold his hand, they walk Richard Dreyfuss onto the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But that god awful movie with Nick Cage at the end of the movie, like the end of the world, and then all the little children get like,
oh, Knowing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't like it.
that movie's so bad or good. I don't really know.
It's not good, but that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. That's one of those Nick Cage movies where I don't know if it's bad or good.
I feel like that's most Nick Cage movies, and I'm here for it.
So while the other two were busy grabbing Charles, the third grabbed Calvin, who upon being grabbed by the aliens just fucking conked out. So he's done. He just immediately passed out, either due to fear or shock, whatever. And I get it. He's a young kid. I'd probably be shitting myself literally at this point by now. So now the three alien robot guys and the two men are floating effortlessly back to their ship, where Charles remembers being escorted into an empty but very brightly lit room. They released their grip on him, and now he's just kind of floating. They didn't set him down on anything. They just kind of like hung him up like a fucking shirt there, or like in that scene in so what's the movie I'm thinking? Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where he just lifts her up and puts her on the meat hook. It's kind of like that, but with no meat hook.
Oh, okay, cool. That was my next question. As long as he wasn't inhaled.
Well, unfortunately, it does get worse. So now he's hovering.
Oh, god damn it.
He's completely paralyzed and probably thinking like, fuck, I'm dead. This is it. No one's going to find my body. So now, while hovering in the air, Charles said that a mechanical football-shaped eye, roughly 7 inches in diameter, scanned his whole body. He described it as, quote, some kind of instrument. I don't know what it was. I didn't see anything that I could call an instrument that I've ever seen before. It wasn't like no x-ray machine. There ain't no way to describe it. It looked like an eye, like a big eye. It had some kind of an attachment to it. It moved right in front of my face. I saw dials and gadgets moving around. It went behind me, then came back over me. It went all over my body, up and down, and then it disappeared back into the wall. I was just about out of my mind. I thought they were going to kill me. Folks would think we fell in the river and drowned, and nobody would ever know about this, end quote. The way he describes this, it reminds me a lot of when C-3PO and R2-D2 go to Jabba's palace and that fucking eyeball comes out of the door.
Yes.
Like that's what I had pictured in my head when he started describing. I was like, that sounds about alien techie as you can get. You know what I mean?
Just a floating eyeball, just kind of, football-esque shaped, scanning you up and down.
Yeah. I don't know what it was doing. I'm going to assume maybe
just checking them out.
No, just what's your vibe like, bro? This is a vibe
bro,
check.
It was checking him out, and if he liked what he saw, he was going to buy, the boys a drink. Blue milk.
Fuck. God damn it. All right. Now, there were times during all of this that the creatures left Charles alone during all of this, and he assumes that this was so that they could go examine Calvin, who fortunately, maybe, can't remember what happened to him while he was aboard. Charles estimates that they were aboard this craft for 20, maybe 30 minutes when their captors escorted them off the ship and dropped them back off onto shore. Charles kind of snapped out of his shock pretty quickly. He was, if I remember correctly, a Korean War vet. So mentally, I think he was able to kind of deal with something like this and process it kind of quicker. Well, right. Not this specifically, but, like traumatic events.
Yeah, traumatically, he was able to, deal with a little bit better.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Sadly, Calvin, only being 19 years old, I don't think he was mentally capable, because when Charles snapped back to reality, oh, there goes gravity.
Gravity. You beat me to it.
He saw his young friend like just a pile on the ground. He was shaking, weeping, praying. Charles ran over to his friend's aid to try and snap him out of it, even slapping him a couple times to like break the daze that he was in. When Calvin finally like was able to be released from the grip of shock, I guess, he said to Charlie, quote, "What in the world was that?" To which Charlie replied, quote, "I don't know, son, but they didn't kill us," end quote. And Nick, that is where we will pick up for part 2, where we will go over the aftermath of their encounter, the police report, media coverage, and how it affected their lives, all that good stuff. Where are we at, Nick?
Well, like, I got to imagine, so as a brief, like, Facebook lookup, like, there's a Washington Post about the 50-year anniversary of, 2 Mississippi men are believed to be abducted. So it's got to, I imagine it's got to be pretty big in that small town of Mississippi. I don't like these aliens. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they describe. I don't like the way they buzz.
Yeah, it's not the way they look is what bothers me the most, because it does have Falkville Middleman vibes, but it's like I said, it's like a medieval torture device come to life. It's just like wrinkly, gross, covered in spikes, kind of like it's just not ideal. No one wants to deal with this shit. It's all gross.
Oh, God, no. It's all nasty.
Yeah, but
it's all nasty.
So I don't know if you noticed this, but the entire time that I was doing this episode, I kept saying Charlie said, Charlie, according to his...
So Charlie is the one that's like pushing the story a little bit more.
Well,
okay.
Charlie he ran with this. Calvin,
right.
I don't think he didn't even tell his wife until like 5 days late. Like it was already like in the news at this point before he told his wife like what happened. Like he only just recent, I think 2018, maybe earlier than that, is when he finally like wrote a book about his experience. He was so hush hush. Charlie, on the other hand, he went on game shows. Like he fucking.
So he was trying to, take it, twist it, and profit off of it.
Well, here's the thing.
Good for Charlie.
Well, here's the thing though, with Charlie and Calvin, their stories never change. Yeah, they might have, like, Charlie might have been more outspoken about his experience, but like, to give them credit, Charlie and Calvin's story haven't changed since then. You know what I mean? Like, he might have been trying to like make a buck or two, but according to his son, because there's a new series on Netflix now called Encounters or something like that, and the first episode is about the Pascagoula incident. According to his son, people are saying that he did profit off of it, but according to his son, he said that whenever his dad went on speaking engagements or he went on all these things, he only asked for whatever the wages would be for a missed day at work. So I don't know what to think about it. Unfortunately, Charles, R.I.P., he passed away not too long ago. But I don't know.
Pour one out for Charlie, folks.
Like I said, their stories never changed. It's all good. But dude, what happened, like the aftermath of this is wild. How quickly it spread. And it wasn't just like a regional news story. Like this went nationwide, even international. Like this was like a huge...
So is it almost like a Travis Walton Fire in the Sky type thing where like that small town became a haven really quickly for UFO nuts?
Not, I wouldn't say that, but in the world of ufology, however you want to pronounce it, this is like a big case. And it's wild that me and you never like dived into that before this. You know what I mean? Like this, how did we not know this story?
Yeah. How did we not get a hold of this one beforehand? Interesting. Very interesting. I'm also sorry that the cat clearly cannot be in the office without me. So I apologize if she's knocking into my microphone.
It's fine. It's cute. She's making this podcast her own. She's putting her scent on it.
She is something.
She is something. All right. And is there anything you want to add to this? Is there any comments, any questions, any?
No. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see what part 2 holds, and I won't watch Encounters, even though that was what I was planning on doing tonight.
There's so
I'll watch episode 2. Perfect.
But
perfect.
I will say the next episode is going to be more informational, less alien. Does that make sense?
Okay. I'm here for it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
buddy.
I love that for me.
I love that for you,
David.
too.
Always a pleasure.
You're a good guy.
You're a phenomenal human being.
All right. Well, I guess Dick, do you want to plug before we?
If you want to see terrible watches about time and watches, go follow us on neovintage.nick or unlimitedtime.llc on Instagram. If you're looking for a watch or want to, talk about watches that should help your lifestyle, shoot us a message or give us a call.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, thank God that's over. All right. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Cryptid Cocktail. Follow me on TikTok, Cryptid Cocktail Party. If you want to join the Discord, follow the link in the description in my Instagram. It's very sad in there. If you do want to help support the show, we do have a Patreon, www.patreon.com/Cryptid Cocktail Party, I think. Either way, it's $5 a month. Helps keep the show going. But yeah, I think that's it. I don't got anything else to plug. Nick, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
It's been fun. It's been fun.